about motivation. We're going to talk about what motivation is, how to get it, how to stay motivated, all these great things. And I have a fun fact for you. This is actually going to be a two-part episode. So I'm going to give you my best tips in this episode, and then I'm going to give you more best tips in the next episode. So the first thing I want to start with is like actually defining the word motivation, because it's kind of thrown around a lot. Oh, I'm just not motivated. Oh, I can't get any motivation. I can't motivate myself. And I think a lot of times when people say that, they're thinking that motivation is like enthusiasm, just like, bouncing off the walls, like on 7 coffees, just like the aerobics instructor from like the 1980s is just so motivated. And we think like, oh man, I'm not that high energy, I must not be motivated. But I am a low energy kind of person. And so if that's what motivation was like enthusiasm and jumping up and down with so much excitement. If that's what motivation was, I would be plain out of luck, because it's just not me and I have no aspiration for that to be me. So let's start with like understanding what motivation is and what it is not. Motivation is not necessarily enthusiasm. You might not ever be jumping up and down, super excited for this thing. Motivation, you might not never actually want to do the thing. So like the wants and needs, you might not actually want to do the thing, but you might need to do the thing. And you need to do the thing because you want the internal change that the thing brings. I'm going to go through an example of all of this, don't worry. I also think that it's important to think about pain and pleasure. So the two big motivating factors, like if we look at anything, it's pain and pleasure. I don't want to feel blank. That's pain. I want to get away from that pain. And pleasure, I want to feel blank. Right. Okay, cool. If I don't do this thing, I will feel this pain. If I do this thing, oh, right, I get to feel this pleasure. I get to feel this positive emotion. I get to say this kind thing to myself about myself. And I always like to connect it back to aspirational identity. Right. If I do this thing, I get to get in a rep. I get to get in some evidence that I am being that person. So let me go through some examples so we make sense of what the heck I'm even talking about here. Okay, so running. Hey, I have a running podcast. Have you ever heard of it? Okay. So when I started running in 2014, it really could have been anything that I had started. But the reason I started running, my reason for starting the behavior was I was sick and tired of feeling discouraged with myself, disappointed in myself. I was about to turn 30 and I felt like my life was just kind of staying stuck. I was not in a job that I liked. I actually really hated my job. I was living with my boyfriend for several years, and it was a committed relationship, but it was not moving forward in the direction of like marriage. So, I go on Facebook and see like, Susie's married and has 3 kids and a master's degree and is like, the top of the corporate ladder. And I was like, oh, great. Like, I don't like my job. I'm not married. We live in like a studio apartment. I don't really have anything going for me. So my motivation when I started running was really to like start moving my life forward, start getting something together, like have something for myself. I was so like sick and tired at the end of the school day. I didn't have anything for myself. So my motivation, I wanted to get away from the pain of feeling blah about life and blah about myself. That's an academic word, right? Blah. But that was my motivation. Was I super enthusiastic about running? No. I didn't have anything perfect. I did not have running shoes. I had like shoes from like Kohl's. I had like Kohl's Cash that I had bought these shoes with, and like a 30% off discount. These were not running shoes. I didn't have running clothes. I was not like a real runner, quote, real runner. And there was some like I don't really want to have to go. It's like cold in Chicago, right? So there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm, but I knew that I needed to change. I needed that internal change. I needed something for me. If I didn't do this thing, it was going to be more of the same crap. And I was sick and tired of that. So the motivation for running wasn't actually about running, which is why like this is a running podcast, but it's also not really a running podcast, you know, that thing. It was never about running. It was never about running. It was about me doing something for me and proving to myself that I can follow through on things, that I can move my life forward, right? So running was just the vehicle for that internal shift. That's it. But it could have been anything. Like it could have been yoga. It could have been on boxing. It could have been, I have no idea. It was running because running was like so cheap, and it didn't cost any money to go running. So that was like why I became a runner. I was so sick and tired of feeling blah. I wanted to feel accomplished. I wanted to feel satisfied with myself. And it did. It was like, oh, cool. That aspirational identity. Like, oh, I guess, I can be a runner. I can be someone who like does this thing. So that was my motivation for running. Okay. Pain, pleasure, aspirational identity. Let's talk about, oh, this is a good one. Leaving the house today. The past few days, I have felt, I don't know, this whole pandemic thing, it's not ending. It's like still going on, and it's gross here in Chicago. It's cold. It snowed. The snow's going to be here for a while. I'm sick of it. Like, I am so sick and tired of being at home. I'm sick and tired of all of these things. And I was like, I started looking up, I started Googling, like, where could we go that's warm? And it's like, oh, right. It's like Texas or Florida. We cannot make that trip with our pup. She can't be in the car that long. Cool. We have to stay put. Like, we're just going to have to stay put in Chicago. But also, I need an internal change. I need something to change because I am not feeling good. And I can feel like this is actually why like CBT is so important. It's like I'm starting to notice like this isn't feeling good. You need to do something, because if you don't do something, this is going to get worse and you're going to fall into that hole. So here's your warning signal. Do something about this. So it's like pain. Ugh. I don't want to feel blah. That's such a good word. I don't want to feel blah anymore. I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel isolated, right? I need some adventure, right? Okay. All right. If I leave the house, because I hadn't left the house, or I hadn't really left the neighborhood very much. If I leave the house and I go somewhere and I do something, I will feel excited. I will feel, just some of that novelty. I'll feel like I'm doing something. There's something different. Really was like looking for that novelty, that just like that excitement, that spark of joy. I needed something that was not the same shit that we've been doing over and over and over again the last 10 months, right? So the thing I did was I got into my car. I drove about 5 minutes to a different neighborhood, and I parked my car, and I had my snow boots on and my coat on, and I went for a walk in a different neighborhood. That's it. And there was a lot of snow still, so I had like my heart rate got up because I'm like, I'm say hiking. It's Chicago, it's flat, but I'm like hiking through these few inches of snow and just seeing different buildings. Like if you're, I'm sure it's like this in a lot of cities, but like you go into a different neighborhood and it's like the architecture is just so completely different. And that's what happened. I was in a different neighborhood. The architecture is different. I ended up seeing this like giant tree that looked like a slingshot. It was like an old tree that was dying, that they put like a rope on it. And it's like this tree, that sculpture. It was really cool. Right. So the internal shift that I got, or the internal change, I went from feeling blah to feeling wah. That was so lame. I went from feeling gross to feeling good. That, like, those two words, good, not gross, good, not gross. I was tired of feeling gross and I wanted to feel good. And the walk was the thing that got me there. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times that pain needs to be pretty bad in order for you to decide, I need to make a change. I need to do something. Now, notice also the action that I took was not, hey, Jacqueline, you're going to drive to downtown Chicago. It's going to take you 40 minutes. You're going to have to look for parking. You're going to have to pay for parking. No, it was like, you're going to drive 5 minutes. That's it. So I'm going to talk more about this in that next episode. That's going to help with your motivation, making sure that you have an easy plan. But I was not like super enthusiastic about doing any of this. I just knew you can no longer be in the house for the whole day. You need to leave the house. You cannot You value yourself and you value self-care, and you know what happens if you don't do this thing. So go do this thing. Fun. Here's another fun one. So as I am getting into my car, so today is Wednesday as I'm recording this. It snowed, I think, Monday night and Tuesday, and we didn't drive the car at all on Tuesday. And so there was like all this snow up on the car, and it was like, ugh, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to scrape all this snow, but I do want to be able to go on my trip, right? Ugh, I don't want to have to like deal with this frustration. But also, if I don't deal with this frustration, then I have to be in the house and I'm going to feel gross again. So I am going to scrape this thing and I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go because I want to be that active person. I want to be that person who takes care of themselves during the winter. Oh, another one. Tracking money. This is something that popped up that I started